Hello again, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel and another one of my top 10s. Alright, you've worked on a car, you're happy with it, you're enjoying it, you want to go out and start winning trophies. Maybe you're showing it as an up and coming finished car, if there is such a thing. If you have a project car, it's never done. Or maybe it's as completed as you can get. Whatever the case may be, you're going to go show it. And we've already done a top 10 of the type of people that you'll meet at a car show who, that you're going to run into that bring cars to an actual car show. But what kind of people show up to the car shows? That's a whole nother ball game. And we're going to briefly talk about that. And that brings us to this special top 10, which I'm going to give a little bit of a twist on it. And that is top 10 people that I have met at a car show. All right, let's start off with number 1, the Enthusiast. Now, the Enthusiast is the bulk of the people that you're going to meet at car shows. Most of these people are really not interested in building projects. Most of them are just there to enjoy the cars. Okay, they love looking at them. They just can't help but enjoy them. So get out of their way and let them enjoy them. Okay, if they ask you what you've done, what you've done with your project, believe me when I say, if you're me, you'll be glad to tell them exactly how you did it, where you found the car, everything. Okay. All right, moving on. Number 2, the idea collector. Now, the idea collector, I have found, and I used to be an idea collector. What they are is they either A, they have a project, or B, they're looking for a project. And they're at that car show looking for ideas. Now, in the past, I would show up at car shows. I had my project. Sometimes I would show up at the car show with my project, but I wasn't interested in showing the car. Okay, just yet. It wasn't done. All right, or done enough to my liking. So I would go and would look around and get ideas what I was going to do to my car. Now, today, many of the people in my past, a lot of stuff that I do to cars nowadays would be a kind of a collage of ideas of all the people that I had met at car shows from years ago. So there's a little bit of tidbit information for you. All right, moving on. Number 3, Mr. or Mrs. Memory Lane. Now, if you're like me and you own a Maverick or some car that's kind of faded into history that used to be popular at one time. Maybe it's a Nova, Chevelle, Falcon, Comet, whatever, and Mr. or Mrs. Memory Lane will come up and say, "I used to have one of these," or my mom or dad had one, or in some cases nowadays, my grandma and grandpa used to have one of these, and you can't help but get excited for them, and they'll tell you a million stories how their relative or their best friend or whoever had one. And it's awesome. It does occasionally get boring, but you kind of get used to it over time, and you just can't help but enjoy those people. I will tell you that as time marches on, Mr. or Mrs. Memory Lane will slowly start. You'll see fewer and fewer of those at car shows, but I'm always glad to see them when they do come up. All right, number 4, the family. There's nothing more exciting than when mom and dad take the whole family to a car show, because the kids get, kind of that introduction, and this is how you make hot rodders. You get them interested in the car world that way. And when you get them interested in building custom cars, it keeps the tradition alive. And I will tell you, I've had whole families come up to Project Spirit and Project Vera, and when this happens, mom or dad will turn into Mr. or Mrs. Memory Lane, and they'll say, we used to have one before you kids were born, or your grandma and grandpa had, and then the kids will turn around and say, well, why don't we have it now? And you're kind of like, oh shoot, it just happens. You feel bad for mom and dad at that point, but at that point, just stay clear. All right, number 5, the wishful Thinker. If there is not any more heartbreaking sight at a car show, I don't know what is. The wishful thinker is the person who has the capabilities to build the car, but they won't do it. They won't take the time out. They won't spend the cash. And if you've watched my channel, you know you could do this on the tightest budget imaginable. And the fact that they won't go out and do it it just breaks your heart. You always see them. They've got that depressed look in their eyes of what could be, and they won't go do it. A fine example of this, when we did the 4th of July celebration, I actually seen one of the wishful thinkers. And of all the things, the wishful thinker was my very own dad. If that, and I'm going to tell you, 75% of the things that I learned about cars came from my dad. It was heartbreaking to see. Moving on, number 6, the know-it-all. Oh my gosh. They don't have a project, but somehow they know what you should be doing next to your car. And you want to look at them and say, tell you what, you go build one, and then I'll just steal your ideas, okay? But in the meantime, you don't have any room to tell me how to build my car. Princess Faye actually ran into one of these. There was a woman that came up and started trying to tell her what artwork she should do next. And she took it in stride, Princess Faye being the real trooper that she is, but it did annoy her. One of them things. Moving on, number 7. The Critic. There's always one of these jerks at every car show. Oh, man. Because Princess Faye and I own a couple classic Mavericks that are 4 doors, there's always that one jerk that wants to walk up and say it has too many doors. I'm sorry, I have children, and I'm not going to try to cram them in a 2-door. Have you tried to do that? It sucks, so don't do it. And the fact that the 4-door Mavericks are completely and almost gone from the American landscape, that doesn't matter. It has too many doors. You want to look at them and say, and what do you drive? And then they'll point over at some beater, some old beater, and they're cramming their kids in and out of that. It's annoying. But you always see them at every car show. You try to just ignore them. Don't let them bring your day down, because I don't know about you, no one has the right to bring down my good time, so just ignore them. All right, moving on. Number 8, the Mrs. I Don't Care. This is one of those kind of halfway heartbreaking sort of things that you'll see at a car show. Some enthusiastic husband or boyfriend will drag his other half to a car show who has no interest whatsoever in cars. And most of the time it's a woman, and I'm going to say 95% of the time it's a woman. Of course, it is a new age these days, but the poor woman is like, he's like, check this out, and she's like, I really don't care, but check this out, it's a car. She doesn't get it. On my end, I'm very fortunate when this very wonderful woman comes and she really doesn't care, and I could point at the artwork on Spirit that Princess Faye did, or I can point at Project Vera and say, Princess Faye did that. And at that point, well, then she goes from Mrs. I Don't Care to the Enthusiast in like just a split second. At that point, you gave her something that she could relate to. Because to her, the rest of the cars out there, she's not really interested in all that. It's just not her thing. So you really feel bad for her. So if you don't have a princess, someone like Princess Faye, you just sympathize with them. Okay. Moving on, number 9, the slacker. Oh my gosh, I've run into a lot of these, and most of them are teenagers, all the way up to 30 years old. And they'll look at your project and they'll go, man, I wish I could do that. In my case, I turn right around and say, log on to YouTube and type in the Prince Magnum channel in your search bar, and you'll know it's me, and you'll describe the picture, and they're like, oh, okay. You'll write it all down, make sure they do it, and then guaranteed, you'll watch to see if they subscribe. They won't. Guaranteed, they won't. They won't do it. Why aren't they doing it? They're too busy playing video games. They have that fancy World Wide Web at their fingertips, and they won't do it. They won't do it. Okay? Why? Because the real truth of it is, they would rather just dream than make their dreams happen. That's the truth of it. Okay? I know that sounds harsh, and I know even Princess Faye, who's listening to me narrate this, is like, but the truth of it is, if you want it bad enough, you're going to go out and do it. So if you're not going to do it, to me, if you want to do it and then you're not going to do it, you're slacking off on the job. Just the way I see it. And it might be my opinion, but it's mine, and you know what they say about opinions. All right, moving on. Number 10. Number 10 is, you're going to get this, at least one or two of these at every car show, and that's the disrespectful. Okay? The disrespectful, okay, at the Azalea Festival, they actually provided labels to put on your car that says, please do not touch. Okay? And you almost have to carry your own sign to some car shows, because there's always going to be that one person that'll lean up against your project. Now, you spent a good long while, buffing out, any blemishes to get ready for the show, and this jerk leans up against your car. Okay? I'm sorry. That's disrespectful. Okay? It's not your car. Don't lean up against it. And there's nothing worse than when whole families a whole family that is disrespectful to the projects out there on the lot, and the kids are hanging on it, and the parents are letting them get away with it. The parents have no respect and not teaching their kids any. Okay? At that point, the best thing you could do is go right up to whoever's running the show and tell them about it and have the family removed. And if the person leans up against your project, have them removed. Because if they're going to do it to yours, they're going to do it to everybody's there. And if those people mess up something on your project, I guarantee it, they're not going to pay for the damages. Okay? So just get them off the lot. All right? And I know that sounds harsh, but you have to protect your investment. Okay? You put a lot of time and money in it. Get them off the lot. All right. If you've stuck with me this long, thank you so much. I appreciate you doing it. I try to keep this stuff as interesting as possible. I'm boring on camera, but I've been told I narrate wonderfully. Unfortunately, this is the third time I've had to do it, because the first few times just didn't work out. If you did stick with me this long, I like to try to be as giving as I possibly can. Here's the bonus for you. The bonus is the budding hot rodder. There's no more delight in here on the Prince Magnum channel when a budding hot rodder walks up. Now, this is the young man who hasn't hit his teen years. I say young man because that's just my way of showing them respect. But this is the young man that walks up. He's maybe 6, 7. Shoot, he might just barely be able to talk and just got out of diapers and walking around himself. Who knows? That's kind of how I started. But these budding hot rodders are looking at the cars, and they want to be able to do the same things. Their heart's set on it, and they're going to do it. Okay. I have a total of 3 great examples. Let's start off with the first one. Last car show we did in October of last year, this being 2016. And last year, when we were still, before the accident with Project Beauty, there was a couple of young people that said that it inspired them, and they were going to go out and find their first car was going to be a project car. So that was really exciting. Every once in a while, I'll see one of the young ladies who was one of those budding hot rodders. Not always are they men. And later on, when the first time we got to show Project Spirit, was at the Azalea Festival. There was a young man who came up. He was a Ford fanatic. He loved Fords, but he'd never seen a Maverick before. Got to let him sit behind the wheel of Project Spirit. That was really exciting. His dad was just all smiles. He thanked us from the bottom of his heart. And let me tell you right now, that was one of my favorite moments at the Azalea Festival. Uh, Thank you, little buddy, wherever you are. I hope you find a Maverick one day. And then there was another young budding hot rodder, and I've told this story before. For the homecoming, uh, when we went home to Pilot Knob for the 4th of July, there was a young budding hot rodder who had already inherited his first project, and he was probably no more than maybe 10 years old, and he had his hands on a 1967 Mustang. Uh, his mom had been trying to get him out there. There was evidently some problems getting her son out there, and when he got there, all the cars were pretty well gone, except for four of us, and two of them were Project Spirit and Project Vera. Um, Princess Faye and I got to give him his own personal car show with the Mavericks, and there was nothing more delightful to. I believe I'm speaking for both of us. There was nothing more delightful than to be able to do that for that young man. He is still in possession of the only picture that I will never show on the Prince Magnum channel. For the show, basically I got to put on my gear, and him and I posed in front of Project Spirit. Little buddy, wherever you are, that picture is only for you. I will, even if you gave it to me, I will never use it on the channel. That belongs strictly to you. Um, these budding hot rodders show a lot of love and respect to them. There's nothing more exciting. All right, that brings us to the end of this video. Um, Real quick, I'm going to throw this out there before I end it in the absolute usual manner. Um, if you live, if you're an educator, whether it's at a VOTEC in St. Francis County, Iron County, Madison County, or Washington County, you run a shop. Basically you're in charge of the auto body or the auto mechanic shop or a machine shop, whatever, and you need us to bring Project Spirit or Project Vera to your VOTEC. Please, I will leave my email address at the end of this video. Please contact me as quickly as possible. We will be glad to bring them out there, and talk about them as much as you would like. We'll be glad to do anything and everything that we possibly can to help you continue your education of your students, so maybe they can go out there and really shake up the automotive world. So don't be afraid to holler at me. I'll do whatever I possibly can. Also, if you are also in the same counties and you need someone, need help with your charity, please holler at me. I will do what I possibly can to help you along in that category. And give me enough time, we'll show up. No problems, no questions asked. Okay? I don't care what it's for, as long as it's not political or racist or anything like that. Leave all that nasty stuff out of there. I don't want it on my channel, and I don't want to be associated with it. And finally, if nobody has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.